Colin and Samir have an interview show where they've been able to sit down with some of the biggest YouTubers and content creators in the world. And after 10 years of trial and error, these guys have been able to crack the code and figure out how to build a successful brand and channel on YouTube. And right before this moment happened, they were on this stage giving a keynote, sharing the 4 things that they believe every single content creator needs if they want to make content creator a career. And at the very end, I want to share with you the 5th thing that Colin and Samir used to grow on YouTube that you can do too. And the first thing that these guys shared was audience definition. Getting to know your audience is the most important thing as you continue to grow in your career. Some questions you want to ask yourself when figuring out exactly who your audience is what kind of videos do they watch? What age range are they in? What kind of things do they love and what kind of things do they hate? And what other interests or hobbies might this person be interested in? Once you've defined who this audience is going to be, you need to figure out how you're going to serve them. Which brings up number 2, and this is the value proposition. Now, your value proposition is going to come down to one of 4 categories. It's either going to be education, entertainment, information, or motivation. And for Colin and Samir, they know that it is education, and specifically it's education for content creators. And one of the things that they said that they obsess over is making sure that everything that they do, every piece of content that they release, it needs to match this value proposition of educating content creators. And if it doesn't do that, they cut it out, they don't post it. This is one of those mistakes that a lot of new YouTubers are making, is they don't really know exactly why someone is coming to watch their content. And one of the best ways to figure this out is to actually reverse engineer and go watch one of the YouTube channels that has the same niche as you and figure out why you're watching their videos. Is it for the entertainment aspect? Is it for the information? Maybe it's a little bit of both. Sometimes it's really hard to figure this out for yourself. So watching someone else's channel and figuring out what it is for them is going to bring a lot of clarity to what it is for you. Now, the past 5 years, Colin and Samir really struggled, and they couldn't make this a full-time career because they couldn't figure this one out. And that's why number 3 is so important, and it's process. You see, Colin and Samir, just like a lot of us, were making videos, and some of them would do really well and even go viral and get millions of views, but they couldn't replicate the video that they just created that did really well. So as you start to think about growing a YouTube channel, try and find formats that are repeatable and that are doable and you have fun actually making, because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to do it again and again. Some really easy tips here is to think about batch shooting. When you set up your video, when you set up your lighting and your microphone, how can you sit down and actually record more than just one video? Of course, this depends on the type of videos that you're making, but for a lot of us, we can sit down and maybe knock out 3 or 4 videos. Instead of shooting just one video for the week, we can maybe shoot all of our videos for the month. Figuring out the process and how you can implement this into your day-to-day life is so important, because this is the thing that's going to allow you to deliver that value very consistently. And we all know that consistency matters on YouTube. So look at your calendar and actually spend some time figuring out a process that's going to work for you. Now, before we get to number 4 and 5, I have a really cool offer for you guys from Epidemic Sound, which is today's sponsor. If you need music for your YouTube videos or you need sound effects, then Epidemic Sound really is the place to go. One of my favorite features is their sound effects. Let's just say you need a little sound to go, maybe a sound to go, or a sound to go. You got sounds for all of it, okay? They're gonna be giving you guys 30 days for free, and you can get 50% off of your annual plan after that. So head to thinkmediasounds.com or click the link in the description to get that special offer. It's a crazy deal, so make sure you snag it before it's gone. Okay, let's get back into the video. Now, after you figured out 1, 2, and 3, you still need to figure out this if you really wanna make money and make it a career. Now, to make it a lot easier to monetize, they talked about the menu system. The menu system is super easy. You just need to find 3 different ways that brands can actually work with you. For Colin and Samir, it was super simple because they had their YouTube videos, their podcast, and their newsletter that brands could integrate with and sponsor. So for you, it might look something like implementing a 30-second ad read, a 60-second ad read, and maybe sponsoring an entire video where you just showcase their product throughout the entire video. Colin talked about how he assumed that brands would come to them and they would just know exactly what they wanted. But but that wasn't really the case. So having the menu system really makes it very easy for the brands to say yes. Now, this fifth growth hack that Colin and Samir have been doing to help them blow up on YouTube is something that you can do too. But first, check out this clip because this explains a lot.
Colin and Samir taught us how to build an audience on YouTube.
You have to earn that on YouTube. When we first started the Colin and Samir channel, we started vlogging. I remember putting out these vlogs and being really into the editing and being like, this stuff's good, right? Like the topic is about us, and no one watched it. Having to then take a step back and being like, oh, you actually have to earn credibility with an audience. But it's just like a conversation with someone. Like if you meet someone and you end up talking about yourself the whole time, the first time you meet, it's pretty boring, right? But if you find something in common and you're like, oh, we both like, tennis, and we start talking about tennis, all of a sudden we're both in the conversation. You have to find what you're interested in that other people are also interested in. Introduce yourself to them through common ground, and then you can start exploring other things.
I absolutely love this analogy of talking to someone for the very first time. If you can find that shared common ground of what your interests are, you both are interested in the conversation. So instead of just making videos that were about them, they started to make videos with a common interest, and utilizing these big influencers and their titles and their thumbnails were able to get more people to click on that video because it's a common interest. So ask yourself, what are certain things in your niche that are big and mainstream and a lot of people want to talk about, and start making videos around those topics. This can be a great way to meet a new person, have that common interest, and now they're getting to know you as well. And the coolest part is that eventually it led to them interviewing these creators in person, which helped them build their brand even more over the years. But if you're just getting started on YouTube and you don't really know where to start, then you should click on the screen and watch this next video. It's going to help you out a lot, and I'll see you guys in the next video.